Okay.
Fine.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. It is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, 5:30, and we are having our board meeting virtually on the internet. I think this is the first time that's ever happened, right?
It is.
This is monumental. All right, so we'll go ahead and do roll call, and let's just do it the same way we always do, starting with Larry.
Larry Jepson, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsfer, board member.
Kathy Christiansen, board member. Terry Rhodes.
Jeff Nielsen, board
Terry
member.
Rhodes, board member. Sorry, Jeff.
You're all right.
And Dale Hanson, business administrator.
Okay, thank you. Just a question, since we're postponing all of the recognitions, how's that being done?
It is not being done at the present time. We're kind of hoping that maybe we would have an open board meeting at some point. So we'll just have to have more dialogue and see what we're going to do if that opportunity doesn't come within May or June.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, no public input. Is there? Anybody have anything to read from the public?
No, I haven't received anything.
I can't
Okay.
read anything either.
All right. Okay, I will take a motion then to approve the consent agenda. Yeah?
Kathy, did we want to do a pledge in the mission
Oh,
statement?
yes. Sorry. Thank you very much. Before we go on, Roger's going to lead us in the pledge and share our mission statement. Are we all stand?
Yes, and
All right.
wait. Oh, there's the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
And
and
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands,
One nation under God, indivisible,
Indivisible.
with liberty and justice
for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you. That was a new experience too.
Our mission is to educate students for success in a crazy changing world.
So true. Okay. All right. So now is it okay if I move on to the consent agenda? All right. I will take a motion then to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and vote.
Hey Dale, my board doc seems to be frozen right now, but I vote yes.
And I'm not having the voting come up on mine either.
No, I haven't started. I missed who made the motion
Oh.
and who seconded the motion.
Oh,
I
Who was
made the motion, Larry Jepson.
And
Larry did?
seconded.
Roger did?
Roger second. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now we can get it going. Sorry.
oh,
And then they're right here. Terry, do you have access to the voting? Oh, there we go. Okay, all the votes are in and unanimously in favor of the motion.
okay, great. All right. We have nothing on our action agenda. Is Jason around yet? Okay, let's go ahead and start with the monthly report then, Dale.
Okay. So the report you have on board docs, this is for report up through the end of March. And So as you look at it, that's 75% of the year that's completed at this point. The important part on the report again is the second portion, which is the detailed revenue and expenditure side. And really, from what we've had in the past, there's really only one major change in the report here. That had to do with our agreement with Johnson Controls for the energy retrofit that they're doing across the district. Part of that is that some of the savings will be realized this year, the energy savings, but will not become payable until next year. And so there was $372,000 that I've actually transferred out of the electric utility budget over to a lease payment in the general fund. And so that you really can't see it because it's not listed individually on this report. It's consolidated in a subcategory, but also in the capital outlay fund, there's a requirement that we were making a $500,000 capital infusion into the project. I think it's over the first 8 or 10 years. I can't remember what it is exactly, but anyway, we had a requirement that in this year there was 500,000 that was supposed to be set aside, but that likewise doesn't get paid until next fiscal year. So that's been set aside as a reserve that will carry over at year end and then be available next year to make that payment along with the payment that will be realized or the savings that will be realized next year and another $500,000 capital contribution. So besides that, everything is looking good. Salaries and benefits, which comprise the lion's share budget, are all doing well. And even though we're experiencing, challenges in the economy, our funding through the state is solid, and so we should be fine for completing this year within budget the way we are now. There will be, we're still holding out to figure out what next year's budget's actually going to be. The legislature finished their session with a 6% increase on the value of the weighted pupil unit. But with the economy turning south since that legislative session ended, they are holding several special sessions here. We've had 3, I guess, now thus far, and they're talking about one that will be in May, and then possibly another one in June or August. Who knows? So they've told us right now to kind of look at 2 different options. One is to be funded for next year at the same rates as we were for this calendar year, or this fiscal year, excuse me. And so that's what really was the base budget, the first bill that the legislature passes at the start of the legislative session. So that's just kind of like holding status quo with what we had this year. And then best case scenario is that we would have a 6% increase in the weighted pupil unit for next year. And then there could be any variation in between that as to where we'll actually end up. So the budget right now is kind of on hold a little bit, waiting for things to materialize so the legislature has a better understanding of what the change in the economy is going to mean in tax revenues and what state programs can be supported. So that's really about all I have right there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Dale. All right, then item 3 is information from Mike and Gary to us on the 2020-2021 school land trust plans. So do either of you have anything to tell us?
I'm just unmuting my mic here so I can talk to you. I know Jason's trying to get into the meeting right now. Tim, you may want to send him your current link to the meeting. He may have a wrong link into it, but as far as our school land trust plans, we sent them out to all the board members. We sent them out last Friday with a type of a review sheet for you to follow as you go through each of the plans. At our principals meeting this week, also notified and let the principals know that the board members had the plans and they were starting to review them and to maybe expect a call if there's anything that you wanted to talk to them about. So that's our current status. If is there any question from any of the board members that I can pass on at this time?
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. This is Terry. On the plan from Cash High, which I received, it lists several attachments to the plan, and I didn't get those. Is that important?
Usually, I'm not aware that there's an attachment in that, but all I can do is take a look at that tomorrow, Terry, and I will get back with you then on that if she should have had something attached. So,
well, she says that she put examples attached of STAR 360 data.
okay.
And how those tests work. And so since it wasn't attached, I sent an email to Cherie last night or this morning something, and asked her if I missed the attachments or what happened to them. And her secretary replied that the attachments were there, that she could access them still, but we just didn't get them. I just didn't get them.
Okay, so I will check that in the morning then, Terry, and I'll close that up for you.
All right,
where
thanks.
that's supposed to be.
Mike, it's Roger. I didn't get that email.
You didn't have plans sent to you from Ann?
No.
Okay, good to know. So
Anybody
I will.
else?
Did you all check your district email as well as your personal, or?
I checked both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave Ann the district email. Well, the email that's listed in board docs is what I gave them.
I was having trouble with getting the reports from Mitzi too, but she had to do something different. I don't know if that's why I didn't get from Ann. So I'll have to check and see if she sent them to me. So.
All right. I noticed last night, Roger, when I tried to send you a comment on that one question you had, I had to send it a different way. It wouldn't go. And I had to go outside of the message to send it. So, all right, good to know. I'll check that out for you tomorrow as well.
Okay, thanks.
So, Mike, when do we need to have all of them done and the information to the principals so that they can then be sent on to the state?
Well, our goal is to, at our next board meeting, the first one in May, we'd make that a board meeting where you can take action and actually have the board approve them at that board meeting. So that's kind of our timeline that we're looking towards.
Okay. All right. Everybody able to take care of that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Chris, have you looked at yours yet?
Yes, and I was actually going to ask you if sometime during the next week, if you wouldn't mind having me go through them with you, just scan through them just so I can, this is my first rodeo with this, so I could just give you my reaction and then get yours as well to make sure I'm on the right track before.
Okay. Mike, can you send me his list of plans so I have them here?
I can send it to you, Kathy. I got it from him.
Okay, that'd be great. And you got the rubric, so you know what needs to be checked on each one of them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else need anything more on that? Okay.
And Chris, I could meet with you too if you wanted, and I could go over one plan with you, but I'll help however I can. So,
Thanks. That would be really valuable. Thanks, Mike. I'll probably take you up on that, but I'll just get in touch after the meeting.
yeah, and then we'll set up a time and we'll just go through a plan, and I'll tell you what we look at as we go through it.
Okay.
So just one thing, we're supposed to also have the signature sent to us, and Ann did that this year. So that's the first time that that's ever happened. So just check through the signatures and make sure that at least 80% of the school community council has signed it, that they agree with the plan. Okay.
And the way they sign it, you're not going to see a signature. You just see their information entered. That's what's showing. That means they've signed it.
Okay. Thank you.
And I see Jason Stanger's on right now too from Intech.
Okay. All right. Anything more on this that we need to know, or questions that you have? Okay. Hi, Jason. We'll go ahead and turn the time over to you for your plan.
Oh, thank you. Hello. It's good to see all of you from a distance again. And the first thing we have is an amendment to our current year plan. So if you open that up and you go to the 5th page, you've already approved the first 4 pages last year. This amendment just moves $5,100 from training and related expenditures to purchases of texts and e-texts. So things that were already in our plan, we just saved some money on our training, and we want to move that to texts and e-texts, which was also in our plan. Are there any questions about that?
Look, I think you're okay.
Okay, then we'll go to the plan for fiscal 21. And this is similar to plans that we've brought to you before for approval. You can see our goals for different benchmarks in ACT and Utah Aspire Plus. Those are based on a 10% reduction in the non-pass rate, which is what's in our school improvement plan. We anticipate spending $5,000 for salary and benefits for some training under this plan, $2,000 for professional and technical services to provide professional development, and $1,000 for transportation for that professional development. And of course, this plan was written well before COVID-19, so we'll probably need an amendment from that later, since we don't know if we can travel. But that's what we're planning right now. And then $5,500 for textbooks, for a total of $19,000 to focus on improved high quality instruction, providing instructional supports, and making sure we have instructional materials to go along with that. And then our second goal is that we will have 60% of our seniors earn more than a semester's worth of college credit. And to do that, as an early college high school, we work with Utah State to provide a scholarship to our student while they're still in high school. And so this amount, $22,000, goes towards our early college program to help fund that program. And between those two, we're allocated $41,000 and some change next year. And that is our plan for next year. Are there any questions about that?
Does anyone have any questions?
Just
Hey,
comment.
go ahead.
Jason, congratulations again on your ranking in U.S. News top high schools in Spain. I know you go between number 1 or number 2. I don't know how they determine who gets that number 1 ranking, but your school's doing a wonderful job, and We appreciate the fact that you get recognized for the quality that goes on down there. Our high schools were ranked very well too in the state, but not in the top 10 as Jason's Intech was. So,
Congratulations.
Kind. Thank you.
That's great. Hey, Jason, I just have one question about this, and it's nothing that you have done wrong or anything. It's just kind of for me, and maybe Mike can kind of help out on this as well. When you wrote your goal number 1, it looked to me like you also put how you were going to measure things. Is that right? Or am I reading that wrong?
How we were going to measure it?
Yeah, right up in the goal, because then you've got the measurement down below.
Right.
And I don't think it's a problem, but do we need to have that with the measurements there, or is it okay if you just put it down in the measurements? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. For me, it doesn't matter. Different people read this differently. And so the 10% reduction in our non-pass rate is our overall school improvement goal. And that rolls from year to year. The measurements here are what those targets actually are, what that 10% reduction means as far as a pass rate.
Gotcha.
So we use a reduction in the non-pass rate. And that's not only wordy, but confusing to people. So the measurements are the pass rate.
Okay. All right. I just read it and I thought, how come he's got the measurements on there twice and they're a little bit different? So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's where it's coming from, is our reduction in the non-pass rate are these pass rates that you're seeing in the measurements area.
All right. That's the only question that I had. All right. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Thank you very much, Jason. We'll go ahead and move on to our board committee report with Jeff and the evaluations.
Okay, so I sent everybody an email, I think it was yesterday, on what Richard has seen as far as completion of the evaluations. Did everybody receive it?
Yes.
Okay. So once he sees that we've completed all of them, he'll compile the results and then present them to us. So is anybody having any difficulty with that?
Do you know who he has as having done all of those evaluations?
He can't tell because it's anonymous, but he said that everyone's completed the superintendent evaluation, but the board and the BA one, both of those are not yet complete.
Okay, so I know I completed all 3. Does anybody else think they have completed all 3?
I completed all 3 the day they came out.
So did I.
I completed all 3. This is Roger.
Okay, so I'll just touch base with him again tomorrow and see where we're at, but it looks like we're pretty close.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Moving on to the president's report. My report was just going to be on the assignments for the school land trust. And it looks like everybody except for Roger has got theirs. And so we'll just move forward with that. So then I'm going to send out to each of you a list of topics for our June retreat in case we're able to have one. And if there's something else that you think we should put on the June retreat, will you just email back to me what else you think we ought to talk about besides what's on the list? Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. And then I did have a question about graduation and what was going on there. Do you want to tell us about that in a minute, Steve, or can you give us a little update? Your microphone's not on.
Yeah, we'll give an update during the superintendent's report. That would be okay?
Yes. All right. So then I'm going to share just a little anecdotal story that came from my son in Salem about how awesome Cache County School District has done their quarantine virtual learning. I was talking with my son a couple of weeks ago, and his children had been out of school for about 4 weeks, and they had been doing what I thought was homework assignment. I call them every Sunday, and I talk to every one of them. So I thought they had been doing homework every Sunday from their school district. And when I talked to him, when I talked to the kids, they said, "Oh, tomorrow we're going to start online learning." And I'm thinking, you've been out of school for 4 weeks and you're going to start online learning. So I was asking my son about this, and he said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "My wife has just been giving them assignments each day to work on, but they're not going to start until tomorrow." And I said, "That is just so weird, because we started within 5 days after the kids were out with all of our students." And he said, "Oh, I know. My father-in-law, who lives in Murray, has a daughter with children who lives in Newton, and she had told him that Cache County School District did not skip a beat. The kids were out, and within 5 days, they were back on doing their homework, and that every day was just awesome." So I just wanted to pass that along to the district. And if you'll pass it along to the teachers, you are well known in Salem, Oregon, at least in one home, for the great job that you have done. And so just thank you so much. And please let all of the teachers and all of those who have been working so hard to keep it going know that personally, I'm just really impressed. And so are other people as well. So that was kind of fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to add also, I've had calls from several people that have commented the same. And as a parent, the teachers at Ridgeline have done a phenomenal job with my kids, working with them. And just the whole process has been actually quite amazing. I can't believe it's gone as well as it has. So yeah, anything that you can pass on, boy, we really appreciate the efforts that everybody's made.
Kathy, I just have one comment before Super. With the Utah High School Athletics Association, we received a petition with over 5,500 signatures, and they are requesting that they play ball. Rob Cuff and a couple others from the high school athletics office met with the governor this week, but no decisions were made, but they wanted to keep it open. But many people are saying if the kids aren't in school, the kids shouldn't play ball. So there's quite a bit of discussion there. So that's just the report from Utah High School Athletics this week.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments or questions at all? Okay, I've been to 4 different schools while they've been doing the lunch. The buses are there delivering lunches at the schools, and that has really been fun to see how well that's going. So once again, thanks for the great organization of that. And the kids, they're so darn cute at 3 elementaries and then 1 middle school, where I just saw all of the buses pulling out from North Cache as they were headed to their different destinations. But I did pass that suggestion along to my son too, because I said, "Are your schools delivering lunches?" And he went, "I don't think so." I said, "Well, you probably have kids who need the food. You might want to make a suggestion." So I don't know that he will, but anyway, I thought it was great that all of that was already set up and going. Okay, Steve.
I've got a couple of grandkids that's the highlight of their day, is going to get their lunches. It's the closest thing to socialization they get.
I've heard that said. Yeah. Anyway, you're very impressive in how you've handled all of this. All of you district people and our teachers, I think, have just really done awesome. We did send out a little message to everyone. Did that get out to everyone from the board on our thanks?
Well, I got some cookies, and I don't know who was responsible for that, but that was a real treat.
Oh, I don't think that came from the board.
So if it wasn't one of you, then I'm not sure who might have done it, but it was Crumble's Delight, and there was 4 great big cookies, and and just thanks and for the help and support. So I'll keep looking for who might have sent them then.
Okay.
You
But
didn't
thanks.
share.
Pardon?
You didn't share. I mean, I've been in the
No.
office all day with you, and I didn't see a cookie.
It was over the weekend. They would have been. I could have got it with anybody. So. Okay, we ready for a superintendent's report?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. In just the comments that have just been given tonight, I don't know where I would go back in the 24 years that I've been here that would have been the start of being prepared for what happened when we entered this online learning environment. I know there are lots of people that I could thank, but going back to PLCs, going back to formative assessments, going back to everything that we did to align our curriculum while Craig was here working with us in math. There's just a wealth of stuff that took place. But I am going to mention two programs specifically. And one is certainly our technology department and the changes that we made a few years ago. I think if you were to go out and do a survey in the state of Utah and you'd ask which districts would have been ready for the technology and everything that had to happen for online learning to take place, we probably would have been ranked 41 out of 40, owing to the fact that they probably thought they had a superintendent up here who wasn't in favor of technology. And that's as far as you could get from the truth. I just wasn't in favor of turning the world over to technology, because I happen to believe that what goes on in the classroom with a quality teacher is the most important thing that we do. But that change in getting the right people in our technology department, and then also having the PIO office set up so that we could communicate what we needed to communicate to our parents, to our teachers, and to our students, and to the world of what we were doing has just been invaluable. So there's plenty of credit to go around. This district's been in this kind of mode for quality instruction. And I'll tell you again, if I didn't mention the last time we were together, the three things that we're doing right now that are the best PR that we're doing in the whole state of Utah, I think, is our teachers are teaching, our students are learning, our aides are helping in that, and then not only do we feed the mind, we feed the body, and our cooks have put out meals, and our bus drivers have taken those around. And I think those things have just been marvelous in the eyes of our public as to how we've handled this. Now, we're not perfect. We've had some kids that have tuned out. I can promise you that. But we've had more of them that have tuned in. And we're not going to have an end of school year celebration. We figured that just is not going to happen. But we are planning towards having one well of a celebration when we start school in the fall. So we'll take the breakfast and we'll expand it probably and put it in the night time and have some kind of celebration to get our kids back, because we know that no matter where they are, when we get them in August or September, it'll only take our super teachers a little bit to get them everybody back on track. And we are pounding the nail right now that we not only need super teachers, we need super students in our district. So we don't want anybody quitting before the end of the year. And so we're trying to do things that will keep our kids excited about going right up to the end so that we don't have such a big chore when we bring the kids back in the fall. But anyway, so you have in your board docs under the superintendents, you have a pretty good summary of everything that we've done. And I don't want to go line by line with you, but I will just pick out some highlights. Like I've already talked to you about instruction and student engagement and taking care of the mental health needs of our kids. And I think we're doing a wonderful job. Special ed, we're starting to pick up a little bit of a few parents are not happy with what's happening in special ed. And I think you could go across the country, and that's probably the area that we've had the most difficult task in providing the quality of education that special needs kids have gone used to and their parents have. So I had Joel Allred provided me with a short video that was from the state of Washington or Oregon. It's their state superintendent. And he talks for about 6 or 7, 8 minutes on this particular issue. I'm going to have Tim send that to you. I don't think we forwarded that on to board members. You just need to listen to that and you'll get an idea how difficult it is for us to do with IEPs what we do normally when we can bring those kids in for face-to-face instruction. So if you get, I know we have at least one parent right now who's sending questions to board members, and just trust me that Joel has worked long hours to meet the needs, but we do not have unlimited resources either. And we cannot provide the same kind of schooling that we provided for those kids if we can't get them into our classrooms. So please be patient in that area. Athletic events, you got to report. Superintendents across the state are united. We are not going to be running spring sports when we don't have kids in school and when people can't gather for funerals. We don't think it makes any sense. And when pro sports are not taking place, college sports are not taking place, high school kids, it's tough on them, but they will live and they will be resilient and they will make it through this. And we will do all that we can to give them a great end of year experience. But we're united. We do not want to start offering programs the last month of May and have them go into the summer. So if you have different feelings about that, I'd appreciate hearing from you. Prom, senior activities, graduation. Graduation is another area. We have been in close contact with our state soup, with our governor, and with our local health people. We were thinking that maybe we could hold an outdoor graduation on each football field, or maybe just one football field and move everybody through. That was shut down the last couple of days by our governor and by our state superintendent, that those kind of gatherings, even if you had control all the way up to the very end of the graduation, you probably would lose control of those kids in the end. And so that's not going to happen. And so our 4 high schools met today with Mike and I and Tim and others, and they are going to come up with ideas on how to have some meaningful graduation experience with the diploma, and then a whole bunch of fun in other areas. But that's kind of where we're at, and that's a celebration into the summer. If it happens quick enough that we can do it, that it doesn't interfere with the beginning of school next year. Okay. We've got technology, we clean up, we've got all textbooks, all that's, we've planned for it all. So if you've got questions after you read through that, if you wouldn't mind getting a hold of me or any of us in here, we'd be happy to walk you through any questions or process that we went through. But we went into this, I think, with great skill and finesse, and we'll get out of it the same way. And we just know that parents have struggled with being teachers in a home setting where they weren't expecting that they would have to do that. And so we just appreciate all the support we've got from parents. I think that's all I would say. It's something that years from now we can all sit back and wonder with amazement all that was accomplished in such a short period of time. but you can be grateful that you work with a bunch of dedicated teachers, staff members, administrators, and parents and kids. Because I think we'll find out when we get the kids back in the fall that for the most part, we don't have a whole lot of work to do to catch up to where we would have been if we'd had the kids all the way in the brick building till the end of May. Questions or concerns?
One thing that I've been thinking about while this has been going on is that if nothing else could change the narrative about the value of public education and good teachers, this is definitely really let people know what a value teachers and good public education is for their children. So that's one positive.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
the attitude toward teaching and public school teachers, I think, has changed. I just hope that the recession doesn't take all this momentum away in Utah, that we can get the economy back in, turn around, and it's not this year, next year, certainly reward teachers for what they've done to get our kids through this and basically just what they do in any given year. So, and our aides and our bus drivers.
all right. I haven't seen many of the support staff. The ones that I are happy with what they're involved in too.
Yeah,
Anybody have
a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for Steve. Steve, I'm just curious, there's been some attention in the local media. I'm talking about Salt Lake media with regard to the numbers of students who haven't actually engaged, across the state.
Right.
Different districts have moved online. And I'm just curious, do you guys have any sense in the Cache district for how, the percent of students who haven't yet engaged with online resources compares to, say, other districts in the state, or what your feelings are about that?
Tim, do you want to take that? We probably don't have a comparison. I mean, we have what the media has been saying in the Salt Lake, but we have an idea what. Tim, would you take that, please?
Yeah, so in all three of our principals meetings, middle, high, and elementary this week, we discussed student engagement. I was hearing the same thing down along the Wasatch Front of high disengagement. So I wanted to get a feel for what we were seeing here. And it's 1 to 4 students, 2 to 4 students per class. They're struggling with a little bit. But our numbers are way low, and I think that's attributed to our quick start out of the gate and kind of high expectations out of the gate. But our teachers and our principals are reporting that we really have high levels of engagement among our students. Some elementaries gave me 99% numbers. And then to hear some of the stories of what they're doing to reach out to students they're struggling to reach, whether that be ESL folks that are reaching out in the individuals' languages or home visits. So they haven't reached them all. As the superintendent said, we haven't been perfect, and sometimes people choose to disengage, but our schools are doing everything possible. And I talked to Fox News when they asked us that they were getting reports of high disengagement. I just told them that hasn't been our experience here in the Cache County School District. And I think that speaks to the quality of our parents and our students and our teachers and the whole school community.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I hope that's something that we can use in the future to, demonstrate what an outstanding job the district's doing.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Chris. The fact that the parents and kids would come along with us on this ride, it would have been very easy for them just to say, "Oh, we're not going down this road. We didn't ask for this job. We didn't volunteer to be a teacher, and you pick up when it comes time you get the kids back in the fall. But we think we know we've had a lot of really good participation. And parents need to be congratulated for bringing their kids along. We've had a lot of parents say it gives structure to the day, and the kids need that structure. Where we find difficulty is where their parents aren't in the home. And that's really difficult for kids to be home and try and get out of what we're offering with no adult in the house. So I have one other thing. If there's no other questions or comments, it's a personal thing.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is Terry. Since we won't be having a retirement celebration dinner, is it possible for us to get a list of the retirees this year so that we could, those we know personally, we could send them a thank you note or something?
You bet. Yep. We'll take care of that, Terry.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Well, anyway, if you could see a close-up of me, I didn't even shave today. And if you were in a principal meeting yesterday or the day before, I wore a hat. My hair is getting out of control. I need help. I'm trying to decide between a mullet, a man bun, or a ponytail. So if you have any desire to let me know what you'd rather see me looking like until I can get my daughter back in the frame of mind that we can get together and be safe and she can cut my hair. It's getting curly and long, and I've got to go to something besides what I've had in the past. So any help you could give, please give it privately. I have tender feelings, so don't make fun of me when I'm really trying to handle something that's out of control and I have no way to solve it. So that's it.
Actually, on the screen, you look great.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Hey, just a shout out to Terry and Roger. Enjoy your commute home from board meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have anything
And
else?
Tim, thanks for helping make this go tonight.
For sure.
We appreciate it. Dale, it takes a little technology to make this work, and I think it worked very fine. I will tell you something else that I'll ask Tim to share with you. We have a very funny video about a mock real meeting held in the style of an online meeting. We'll send that out to you. It's worth a laugh tonight after you've gone through this.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. I was just going to say thanks to the board too for sticking in there and playing this game out to the end. However, we have to work with it. And do you think our next meeting will be virtual as well?
I would think so. It's probably just as easy.
So if we are thinking about doing a retreat in June, would it be better to maybe do it later? Or
I would think the later you put it, the better opportunity you had to really be able to get together and do it.
Okay, so what did the board think about possibly in August? Would that be something that would work for everybody if we did it in August instead of June?
Just depend on the day.
All right, okay.
If we're going to do it in August, then the sooner we know, the easier it will be to schedule into my schedule.
Okay. All right. Any other feedback?
Fine with me.
Okay. All righty. Does anyone have anything else? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
No, thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Will do.
Good night.